¿Qué iba?
What's your name? What's your name?
In April 2004, my son Rowan was diagnosed with autism. The feeling was like being hit across the face with a baseball bat. Grief, shame, this weird, irrational shame, like I'd somehow cursed this child by giving him my faulty genetics, watching horrified as he began drifting away to another place. But this story isn't about the tragedy of autism. This is a story about how, as a family, we did something crazy. How we ended up going halfway across the world in search of a miracle. But let's start at the beginning. December 27th, 2001. My wife, 8 months pregnant, and I were at a friend's house having tea when, like something straight out of a movie, she suddenly went into contractions. One quick C-section later, while they brought Kristen round from the anaesthetic, I stood alone in the private room with this little boy we'd already decided to call Rowan. The clock on the wall said midnight, which meant, I realised, that Rowan had decided to come into the world exactly 7 years to the day and almost to the hour that Kristen and I had first spoken. Are we going to tell the story of how we met?
Well, you start, because the first day I didn't talk to you.
That's right. Of course, she wouldn't talk to me. Who would? I wouldn't. But we met in India. I'd been hired to write a guidebook to the region. She was there doing research for her PhD in psychology. We couldn't have been more different. I was British, brought up partly in London and partly on a farm training horses. Kristen was a suburban girl from California. But the moment I saw her, a voice in my head said, clear as day, that's your wife.
Yeah, that's right. The first night, he asked me to marry him. And,
Must have been mad.
And I said, oh yeah, how many women have you asked to marry you before?
So I lied and said none. Yeah.
Oh, you was a lie?
We embarked on 7 years of travel and adventure. We finally married and settled in Texas, where Kristen got a job as a professor of psychology, and I continued my career in journalism and human rights, working mainly with the Bushmen of southern Africa's Kalahari. When Rowan was born and we began living as a family, it was like everything had finally fallen into place.
Swing me just a little bit high.
And then, it all fell apart. The world had once been our oyster. Now it had narrowed down to just getting through the next day. No one could even give us a definitive explanation of what autism even was.
Now, autism obviously means a lot of different things to a lot of people.
One could argue that people have different definitions.
All right, I'll have a go.
Autism is due to neurological abnormalities in the early growth of the brain.
Autism is a neurological impairment that influences a person's ability to view the world in a socially typical way.
I had to learn social skills. Social skills can be taught. But sort of social chit-chat, just for sort of the social relatedness, I'm not into that.
In autism, the brain is able to detect more information. If their brain is being flooded by lots of detail that the rest of us miss, that could simply get in the way of being able to interact socially. In addition, the person has very narrow interests in specific topics. Sometimes these are called obsessions.
Today we see autism as a big spectrum that can range from the severely mentally retarded person who is completely nonverbal to somebody who is a socially awkward mathematics or physics professor.
Our lives became clogged under a mountain of conflicting literature and information on the disorder. The possible causes, treatments and prognosis. We tried everything. Behavioral analysis, pills, creams, diets. We were out of options. He didn't speak to us, spent hours lining up objects obsessively, was completely isolated from other kids, and subject to endless tantrums. His tantrums came in waves, several times a day, lasting sometimes up to 4 hours. Autism tantrums, they're not like normal tantrums. They're often neurological in origin, which means the child is unreachable, impossible even to console.
Point to where it hurts. Does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? Is it here? Got a red mark here, but...
That's a big mosquito bite. I think maybe that mosquito bite has
It's gone.
inflamed.
The flea is gone.
The what?
Flea.
The flea? Do you have a flea? Oh,
Ooh.
Wait, go to the baby goat. Baby goat?
Big one.
Flowers?
One more hippo.
Want more hippo?
I had been keeping Rowan away from horses because I thought he was unsafe around them. But one day, he ran away from me onto the property of my neighbour Stafford and ran right up to his old mare, a horse called Betsy. She didn't spook. Instead, her reaction was so gentle, so submissive, I realized immediately that he had some direct line to her. The moment I put Rowan on Betsy's back, he began to speak.
He's a nice horse.
This deep relaxation, it's such a rare thing for him. There's something going on between them that, even with all my years of dealing with horses, I just have never seen. It's this mystery, but it's a very beautiful mystery. Just like autism is a mystery. Feels like a warm, sunny day after winter. As Rowan began to open up to me for the first time, a light bulb went on in my head. I asked myself, why does autism have to mean the shutting down of everything? Why couldn't it be a gateway into adventure? Maybe even a gateway into healing?